welcome to Eye on America. After a weekend of deliberations, Rajat Gupta's high-powered legal defense team has decided that they will not be putting the defendant on the stand to testify in his own defense. Putting the defendant on the stand to testify is a risky move. It's a high-risk, high-gain move that's quite unusual in white-collar crime cases. And so defense attorney Gary Naftalis surprised the courtroom when he told the judge on Friday that it was highly likely that Rajat Gupta will testify this week. A few hours ago, he sent the judge an email saying they'd reconsidered.
That's always a very difficult and maybe the single most difficult decision for a defense counsel to make because there are upsides and downsides to putting a witness, a defendant, on the stand. And I suspect that decision won't be made until well into the trial when Mr. Naftalis sees how the evidence is coming in and how strong the government's case is.
Well, that decision has now been made. The jury will not get to hear from the one man who could explain exactly what happened. Meanwhile, Rajat Gupta's friends continue to rally around him, but this trial is proving to be a challenge for them too. While their loyalty to Gupta is unwavering, they struggle to explain exactly what happened in those fateful months of 2008. As the Indian American community in the US grew in prominence and respectability, Rajat Gupta transcended everybody else in stature. And his Icarus-like fall from grace has members of the small and close-knit group of high-profile Indian Americans struggling to come to terms with the charges against a man who was the hero of one generation and the role model for the next.
I don't know what really transpired. Obviously, it was a big error in judgment. But that's, I will leave it to the law to take that discourse. I really respect him. I admire him. He really, truly helped me out when I needed it.
Human beings have obviously moments when perhaps they may have been errors of judgment. But the extraordinary contributions he has made should never be forgotten, and I don't believe can be just wiped off the slate because of an error of judgment, if, and I stress a very big if the courts conclude there has been such an error.
For middle-class Indian Americans with aspirations, Rajat Gupta symbolized the American dream. In 1994, when Gupta became head of McKinsey, a successful Indian at the most meant a doctor with a house in the suburbs or perhaps a computer engineer. Gupta changed that perception and the aspirations of his community. He proved that a Desi boy from IIT could move with presidents, CEOs and secretary generals, that Indian Americans could have a seat at the high table.
Like many of the others that know Rajat, I was shocked. Then and today, I find it incredible, just unbelievable that such accusations have been brought against Rajat. Again, it does not square at all.
In the international business world, Gupta was greatly respected for his brilliant mind, modesty and philanthropy. But the audio tapes played by the prosecution in court present a very different picture.
On that, I want you to keep having the dialogue as to what, how I can be helpful in Galleon International.
But what I'm not able to fathom or understand is I am also on the board of a public company and I would know as a director that having conversations related to anything to do with the stock or insider trading is something that you simply don't do. So I find it very hard to believe, and these are facts, that he probably did have these conversations, that why would he do that? And so it's really, I think, maybe really poor judgment on his part.
Yet if there's one thing that most Indian Americans are agreed on, it is that the law must take its course.
What it shows is that if you step out of line, you have to pay here. And actually, if he's found guilty, then it will have an important lesson for Indians, because Indians tend to forget that here you have the rule of law. This is really pretty well understood here, that if you break the laws, there are consequences. You can't just sweep things under the carpet. And I think that is something we need to learn.
One of the most depressing things about reading a good biography is that it makes you realize just how human your heroes are. Greed, jealousy, mendacity and spite are present in everyone. Take anyone's career and look at it under a microscope and you will see shades of grey. What is unfortunate in the Rajat Gupta trial is the dramatic way in which these have been made public. And whether or not he's acquitted, the fact that his private conversations have been made public and revealed a different side of him to the world means that we will never quite see him in the same light again. In New York, Sarah Jacob, NDTV. Well, after 13 days and over a dozen witnesses, the US government has rested its case. The defense is now presenting its witnesses and is expected to rest on Wednesday. Closing statements will be made on Thursday, and after that, it's all up to the jury. Well, that's it on Eye on America, but the rest of the news continues. It's back to the studio.
Do you have the NDTV Profit app? All the markets, all the news and your own homemade, ready-made portfolio available there for you.
We will right now answer what you should sell, what you should buy when markets are down.
Download at ndtvprofit.com/apps. Get the best app from the channel you trust.